There's my 2.5-year-old son sitting on the floor in a bunch of clothes, and there's a note. Can't handle it anymore, better off with you, good luck, I'm gone.
From then on, I said to myself, I don't care what the I have to do. I don't want to see that face on my mom anymore.
I lost my dad when I was 10. I lost my brother when I was 20. I lost, I gave up my career in maybe I'm gonna be a baseball player to drugs.
Want to be happy? Build a life, not just a business. So today, let's live your best believed life and be inspired by these amazing success stories.
Okay, let's kick it off with story number 1. Be resourceful with Paul DeJoria.
I got home one day, I was working over the weekend in this one job as an announcer for the 2nd annual Sports, Vacation, and Recreational Vehicle Show in Anaheim, California. I get home and as I'm going, we had one car. As I'm going up the steps, we were a 2nd level apartment, my wife's coming down and she says, I'm going to the store, can I have the keys? Sure, gave her the keys, right? And she got in the car and took off. Well, by the time I got to the door, she was in the car starting and going out the driveway. Opened the door and all of a sudden, surprise, there's my 2.5-year-old son sitting on the floor in a bunch of clothes and there's a note. Can't handle it anymore, better off with you, good luck, I'm gone. And unbeknownst to me, for 3 months, she didn't pay any of the bills, no utility, no rent. She would keep the money and rip up the bills. She picked up the mail, I never did, so I didn't know we were posed for eviction and our electricity being turned off, I had no idea. But that's how it turned out. What little we had in the bank was gone.
How did you handle it?
As soon as I realized what the world was going on, no money, no nothing, but with little change in my pocket, I cried. I was just so heartbroken. How am I gonna do this? I've got a little kid here, I'm in between jobs, what money I had isn't there anymore. And then obviously I started realizing we were being evicted the next day and it was just, I felt terrible. But when you're that down, you look at going up. You can't sit there and feel sorry for yourself because if you do, you're gonna stay there and stay there and stay there. My first thought was a car. So I go out of a car and on loan that was an old Cadillac, a 1951 Cadillac that hadn't been running for years, had a broken water pump. And I got it from this wonderful lady and I filled it up with water every 4 hours, got the thing going. I had auto shop in high school, so I knew how to get the thing going again. And that was my vehicle. It was also my home for a while. And then to get money, I went into vacant lots picking up Coke bottles and soda pops, 7-Up bottles, root beer, anything. In those days, it was mandatory. Grocery stores and liquor stores would give you 2 cents for a little one, 5 cents for a big one. And that's how we started getting money to live and eat.
Story number 2, hustle with Dan Lok.
My mom and dad got divorced when I was 16 years old. And then shortly after that, my dad went bankrupt in Hong Kong. He basically, his business partner took all his money and disappeared. And my dad signed everything as a guarantor, right?
Yeah.
Guarantees on it.
Man.
So left him about $1 million US in debt. And that wiped him out. Not just financially, but emotionally.
And you were living with him at the time?
I was living with my mom. My dad is in Hong Kong. And then I still always remember that phone call. At the time I was going to school. One day, at the time, my mom and I, we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay, in one of the worst neighborhoods in Vancouver.
Wow.
So I remember my mom would stay in the bedroom, I would sleep in the living room, right? So on the floor, basically. I remember one day after school, I went home, door was locked, and I knocked on my mom's door. She was on the phone with somebody. I didn't know who, but I heard that she was crying on the phone. And I was like, hey, mom, is everything okay? I was like, oh, no, everything's okay, don't worry about it. And afterwards, basically, I found out that she was on the phone with my dad. And my dad basically told my mom he went bankrupt. He couldn't send us money anymore. Because at first he was sending us some allowance, right? And from then on, I said to myself, I don't care what the I have to do. I don't want to see that face on my mom anymore. That I don't care what it takes. I don't care how hard I have to work. That's, I think, the turning point. It planted a seed where I know that as a man, we want to provide for the family.
Of course.
And we want to, but I think as a man, we cannot protect the people that we love if we don't have the resources.
Right.
It could be financial, but if we don't have the resources. And that's when I made a decision, I'm going to be successful, because unless I'm successful, I cannot provide for the people that I love. I cannot protect the people I love. And that was it. From then on, I was the only child, and that's when I started my first business, very, very early on, right?
What was your first business at that time?
I was just like mowing lawns for people in my neighborhood. So I was knocking on door, and no one, like I was knocking, hey, do you want me to mow your lawn? No, we don't need that. We don't need that. At the time, my mom had a friend, my aunt. She had a printing business, right? Like, printing business card and flyers and all that. So I went to my aunt and said, hey, aunt, why don't, you print a bunch of flyers? I will help you distribute in the neighborhood, like printing service. But yeah, there are two sides to a flyer, right? Right? I said, you print 5,000 of these, I'll run around, I'll distribute it. On the other side, can I put my stuff on it? Right?
Yeah, my lawn mowing services,
It's just like, what the heck, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been always very entrepreneurial.
Yeah, you know how to, be resourceful in the situation.
Win-win, right?
Yeah. Because a lot of people wouldn't have even tried that, because they'll say, well, I don't have the money for a lawnmower, I don't have any of that. So
that stops them, right?
Yeah, it's a good proof right there that it's not about what you have, it's about what you do with what you have.
100%.
And you were exuding that even at a young age.
It's never lack of resources. I think it's a lack of resourcefulness, right? And I was just resourceful. I had no money, so I had time. I can put in effort, and I distribute all 500 flyers. I ran home, and I was just waiting for the phone. I thought, I'm going to get rich.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God, 5,000 people. Oh my God, I'm going to get 100 phone calls. Oh, I'm going to block my time. I'm still going to school. I thought I'm going to make like thousands of dollars, right?
Right.
1 hour, no call. 1 day, no call. 3 days, not a single one. I was checking the flash. Did I put in the wrong number?
Right.
No, it was the right number, right? Not a single phone call from the flyer, right? And I learned, okay, there's something that, you can have a great product, a great service, but if you don't know how to get it out there, do marketing and get people to pay attention, no one's gonna buy from you. So I came with an idea. I thought to myself, and this affected my philosophy for the rest of my life, my business philosophy. So I think back, the very first client I had who paid me 20 bucks. What did I do? I mowed the lawn first before asking anything in return. That's how I got that first $20, right?
Right, yeah.
I thought, let me do that again. So I ran around the neighborhood, and I found probably one of the higher end expensive homes in the neighborhood. And I saw the lawn was like up to this high, like high. And I just found a day, and I just mowed the entire thing. Now this is illegal. You're not supposed to do that. I'm not an advocate of that, but I did that.
So you didn't even knock on their door?
No, I just mowed the whole lawn, right? I did the whole thing.
Right.
And I finished the whole thing, and I sat at the front door waiting for the homeowner to come back. Okay, it's funny, it's a housewife. She came back, and she couldn't recognize her lawn, because it's this lawn.
Right, yeah.
She drove by, and then she drove back, and she pulled, what the hell is going on, right?
Right.
And she's like, who are you? I said, I'm just a kid. I'm trying to make some money. I provide these services, a fly. Oh, this is awesome. My husband travels all the time. He's never home. I can't do this stuff. Thank you so much. You make my lawn look so nice. She gave me $100.
Wow.
$100, right? And that affected me for the rest of my life. So my business philosophy until this very day, if you say one of my motto for business, add value first before you ask anything in return. That's how I always approach. You know how most business people, they approach somebody, they want to sell them some right? Or they want to, hey man, you do something for me, or like, on social media, people come to me all the time, or they feel like just because I'm successful, that I'm obligated to help them.
Right, you can so easily will just give them handouts.
That's not the case. They got to earn it. So my philosophy is any interaction with people, how can I add value to what you do? It's always my most favorite question is this: what is the most important project you're working on that I can add value to?
So after the lawn mowing service, what's the next line of business? Because obviously that you realize, okay, this isn't going to get me to the $1 million.
No.
So what was the series along the way? What were some of the failures?
No, but it didn't. I tried so many. I tried like vending machines. I tried like network marketing. I tried fixing computers for people. We tried delivery service. All kinds of. I was just a young guy. I thought anything that even sounds like remotely I could make money doing.
Right.
that I would jump into, which is very dumb because I had no business acumen.
Yeah.
But I failed at so many businesses. I failed at 13 businesses.
13.
13.
Wow.
Before having what I quote unquote success, right?
So from 17 to what age did all
That
those
was like
businesses-
within 3 years.
So 3 years, 13 businesses,
13, all kinds
and
of
all
ideas.
losses.
All losses.
Or lessons, yeah.
No, all losses. No, it's losses. Yeah. It was, and I maxed out my credit card. I lost all my mom's face savings.
Yeah, I heard that at one point too, you're almost over $100,000 in debt. $150,000.
$150,000 in
And
debt.
how old were you at that time?
20
years old?
20 years old.
And that was just different loans from your mom, credit cards,
relatives.
relatives.
And my relatives, they wouldn't take my call anymore.
Yeah.
I just borrowed from everybody that I could.
Did you burn a lot of bridges at that time too?
I did. But I always promised them that just give me one more chance.
Right.
Let me try harder. And they believe in me, but they always thought I was kind of the odd one in the family.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why don't you just go get a job or do something like what normal people do?
Safe.
Yeah, safe and do something. Like, why do you have to have these crazy ideas? Here's another idea of the mind, right?
Yeah.
And I just told them, hey, listen, if I were just to go get a job with I don't even have a college degree or anything like that, I would be making minimum wage. Listen, I'm now $150,000 in debt. If I was making minimum wage, it would take me forever.
Right.
To pay you off, to pay you back, and pay off all this debt, and to provide for my mom. So, like, people always look at what I do. Say, oh, you must be so motivated, Dan. It's not motivation. It was desperation.
Right, yeah.
It was I had no choice.
Also, if you want to have confidence like Dan Locke, Jack Ma, Grant Cardone, and others, check out my 254 series. The link is in the description below. It's free.
After you practice martial art, you develop this natural self-confidence. Not cockiness, but you develop this natural self-confidence.
The people who do the model should believe in the model, and I believe what I do.
You have to go build self-confidence.
Story number 3, make things happen with Jack Ma.
I was born in a very normal family and poor family. 6 people share $7 a month. We can only eat 1 chicken a year. It was terrible. Nixon visited my city, 1972. China, USA signed, Mao Zedong-Nixon signed the agreement. So China became open door. My city, Hangzhou, was one of the first cities that opened to the West. We got a lot of American tourists to visit my city.
What he would do is he would befriend foreign visitors who came to Hangzhou to walk around the West Lake there.
And I learned English by being the free guide for tour guide.
You know, more than the language, Jack was learning about the culture.
The things I learned from books from China are so different from the things I learned from the American visitors.
Story number 4, never give up with Grant Cardone.
I lost my dad when I was 10. I lost my brother when I was 20. I lost, I gave up my career in maybe I'm gonna be a baseball player to drugs. I've lost 5 or 6 jobs now, and I'm a loser, dude. I'm a total loser. But I do have this little light inside of me that says I'm special. I have this little thing inside of me that says, hey, you are special, you have something. But it was just covered up in all this stuff and all these problems and in the drugs and the bad friends and the bad choices. So my mom finally says, enough is enough. Don't come back here anymore. I'm done. I could tell it was hard for her. I'm in a treatment center in the next 24 hours. I go to this treatment center. I'm there 30 days. For the first 30 days in 7, 8, 9 years, I don't use drugs. Oh, wow. I don't have to use drugs. Finally, that thing where I said I was quitting 10 times a day, for the first time in my life, I was able to quit successfully. I'm leaving the treatment center when the insurance ran out, because that's how those work. When the money runs out, they boot you to the curb. I'm terrified, scared to go back to society. I don't have any friends that aren't using drugs. My girlfriend was using drugs. Everybody around me, everybody I knew used drugs. And I'm going back to a job where even at the job I had, they used drugs. And I'm like, I'm going back to an environment. I have to cut off all my friends, not really friends. I got to cut off all the enemies, right? And I got to start over. And before I leave, the counselor grabs me and the counselor says to me, look, dude, I'll see you back here. Probably, if you don't die, I'll see you back here. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm not coming back here. And he's like, oh no, you're coming back. And then he gives me the lecture. He's like, you'll never make it. See, when you go to a treatment center, you tell them everything about your life, like all your secrets, all your inhibitions, and your, the things you want to do in your life, right? And so I'm telling them in this thing, everything I've done wrong, I share my whole life, but I also share with them what I want to do, my inspiration in life. I'm going to write books, I'm going to speak to audiences, I'm going to help people, I'm going to tell people this story about drugs and how damaging they are, and I'm going to be somebody, I tell them. And they're like, no, dude, you're a drug addict. And all you're ever going to be, this is what the counselor tells me, all you're ever going to be is a drug addict. You need to give up all the ideas of writing books, speaking to audiences, being rich. I always wanted to be rich. I wanted financially to be rich my whole life. I wanted to be my dad. I wanted to be the guy that could take care of his family. They said, you need to give up all those ideas and settle for one thing, not using drugs. If the day ends and you don't use drugs, Grant, that is a good day for you.
Now I've got a special bonus clip on how to not quit from Colonel Sanders that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action in your life or business. Here we go. Question number 1, what do you need to not give up on? Number 2, what do you need to just make happen this week? And number 3, where do you need to be more resourceful?
When you lost the business, when you lost your motel, you were really looking forward to this being the nest egg that you'd worked for all of your life. Yeah. And now it was gone, had to sell it at the auction. You were at 65 at that time?
65, but I'd already had a guinea pig franchise out or two, knowing that I was going to have to franchise. I wanted to see how they would take, you see. So then I started franchising in earnest when I was 66 years old. I just say the moral to my life, don't quit at age 65. Maybe your boat hasn't come in yet. Mine hasn't.
If you want to learn how to defeat stress, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
One of the hardest things you will ever do in your life is to start a business. I don't think enough people talk about the difficulties associated with it. There's a reason why 80 to 90% of companies fail.